Yeah, so the Smith family, as some may or may not remember anyway, largely deals with children, or pretty much exclusively deals with children, looking after their education. So taking children that otherwise would have probably not done so well in school from very young ages up until even high school and university, and investing into their education so that they hopefully have a much better life out of it. The part that we focused on is in helping sort of from a marketing aspect. So how the Smith family can engage their potential and current supporters in order to increase their involvement. And there's lots of activities going on in that space that they're working on right now. And a lot of those are actually done under pretty well thought out, pretty established models of doing it. But what they really wanted to be able to accomplish is to look at all of this activity that's going on and to really figure out what parts of those are working to actually positively impact supporter engagement and which ones aren't. And so it was quite an ambitious undertaking anyway, because what we're actually looking at doing is going way beyond the models that exist for fundraising as they are today, and going into what is the relationship and how can we personalize the activities that we undertake from a marketing standpoint in order to better engage those supporters. So we had quite, I think, a very cool model of looking into this that Danie is going to present. But at the same time, we also took a step back and just wanted to make sure that we looked at the data as a whole and see what we could see out of it, so that we sort of had two approaches going on. And Simi is, I think, going to present that. Okay, cool. But first, what I want to do, part of this exercise actually, I think, was really helpful for me, and we really learned a cool model, or at least a cool approach to be able to solve a very, very complex problem. So I'm going to give it over to Danie to explain a little bit more about that problem itself. Oh, also just before, in case I don't get to mention this, Erin from the Smith family was massively involved yesterday, and I think for what has come out of it and what will come out of it, because I think there's a lot more to be gained from what's done. It was just hugely helpful to have her here. So thank you for taking the Saturday and putting so much effort into it. And thanks Lisa for going on holidays while we were on stage. But no, Lisa did a ton of work to prepare the data for us, so thank you for all that you've done so far. Danie.
So presentation. Okay, so we were speaking with Erin.
No, we're all more than happy.
Yeah, we're talking. Wrong button.
The cockatoo
Okay, so we were speaking with Erin for a long time yesterday about what's kind of important for them to understand or to help them with their marketing. So she said, well, half of our marketing budget could be saved, but which half, we don't really know. And so I guess people analyze marketing campaigns all the time, but often you analyze them in kind of a short-term period. You say, I did this, this happened, I did this, this happened. And what she really was interested in was kind of long-term, longitudinal. They have been around for 70 years or 80 years. Yeah, 80 odd years, and there was really a lot of data there, and they wanted to understand a donor who starts off, maybe gives a little bit, and then gives more, or then becomes a supporter of an individual, or then changes again, kind of what causes a single supporter to kind of change a state like that? What potentially causes them to change their engagements? Or how can you identify people who potentially could become more engaged if you gave them the right messages? So that kind of problem is very difficult because it's longitudinal, there's all this stuff happening, there was really a lot of information available. So we thought we'd start by looking at kind of the timeline for an individual supporter. So we had information about all the transactions anyone's ever done. We had information about all the messages that have been sent back and forth, emails, phone calls, all the communications, texts. And so combining all that for a single user, you can end up with a timeline kind of like what you see there. You've got donations over time, you've got messages, and then to try and build a model of that is kind of hard because it's really different, and there's hundreds and thousands of people. So we thought we'd build it as a kind of a state change model. So the idea was, let's first define what we mean by states, right? Who are these people? What makes them in a state? And we spoke with Erin and again Lisa later on, I think, about that. And there's actually several different dimensions upon which someone can be in a state, right? Are they high value? Are they low value? Do they support a child? Are they a regular giver or not? Are they lapsed or not lapsed? And we ended up with, I guess, almost 100 states across 5 different dimensions that a person could be. So the first challenge for us was to kind of build the code that would identify the states for all the different user bases across the thing. And then after we've got all their states, we'd say, well, okay, now we know they were in this state at this point in time, and then they changed at that point in time. What happened in between, right? And we've got all the information again in forms of communications, transactions that happened, really everything you can think of. And we had to then, for each one of those different data sources, do some feature engineering and build out the features that would really summarize what happened to that person in that period of time. So again, that was a big, long thing. We had multiple people working on different data sources, building out the features, and then we had our fearless data leader kind of trying to put everything together at the end. And it was really fantastic, and we got the whole data set together at about 3:05. So it's really cool. I think we've got a fantastic data model now that we just need to do some modeling on. We didn't quite get the time to build the predictive model we wanted in terms of saying, well, that's what causes it. But we now really have a massive data set that says, this that changed, that's that changed, that's what happened at different times and dates for different amounts. So we did have guys just looking to put something together for us. And they found a few, just maybe, I was actually going to ask Cindy or Mel really to come up and put these slides together to give us some of the insights they found just by playing around with the model in a very short period of time. Just to talk us through what you found there.
So as Danie mentioned, the main aim we wanted was to see in between states what kind of campaigns worked, what kind of acquisition channels worked. And just from quick summaries, we found that for phone calls, face-to-face upgrades actually are 3 times more likely to make someone a high-value supporter down the line. So we thought that was pretty interesting. So the 4 months that matter in bringing a lapsed customer back are January, June, November, and December. And June's probably correlated with tax returns, as Wires found before. December probably has some Christmas campaigns, which means they're working and bringing lapsed customers back. And June also probably has some winter campaigns, so that's working as well. So probably safe to continue doing those. And in terms of what makes someone trade up to a sponsorship level, so to actually sponsor a child and have a closer relationship, we'd probably say age is really positively correlated with that. So the older you are, the more likely you are to sponsor a child. Seems like admin calls are negatively correlated with you sponsoring a child. And people with high email opening rates are positively correlated with sponsoring a child. So there's a lot more insights that we can derive, as Danie mentioned. So I think Danie will work closely with Chris to get more on that. Thank you.
Thanks for that, guys. Yeah, so I just actually would like to kind of reiterate that what I do think that model is going to be able to do is possibly change quite a few things, not only within the Smith family, because it's looking at something that I think people like in Aaron's shoes have always wanted to look at, but just don't have necessarily the ability or the resources to. And so it's There's been some existing ways of doing marketing and fundraising engagement that have been the same for quite a few years, ever since direct mail became a thing. And this actually is something that can help charities move out of that kind of thinking into a personalization type of way. So I'm actually really looking forward to see what can actually be achieved from this this beast that has been built. So good job, guys, on that.
Thanks very much, Chris and team. Anything to say, Smith family? Or?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.